Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bria and I am just a girl here on YouTube who likes to talk about emotional health and wellness and just all things that go into emotions and how we manage them. We've talked about guilt here on this channel. We've talked about intuition, shame, and like holding yourself back from things. So we want to grow and we want to move on. Well, not necessarily move on, but we want to continuously be working, managing these emotions or even just like acknowledging them. So today is going to be more of the same thing. Real quick, I'm just going to light an incense just to clear out some energy in the room, level set us before we jump into our topic today. So while I do that, I'll just check in with you guys. So how are you? How was your Valentine's Day? Have you been feeling like the love energy? Have you been feeling the Aquarius energy? It's definitely been a movement. I feel definitely just a need just to level set everything in my life and readjust, go back to the drawing board, try and figure out, the right things for myself. And I definitely feel like I've found my place here on YouTube just because I love to talk about this stuff. And I also just need this at this point in my life. Like, we all go through stuff. We all have hard times. And I am, just like you, navigating all those things, just going back to the drawing board and trying to replenish myself, if you will. So I will light this incense. I can already feel it. It feels good to, it's like not a ritual, but it's like something that just helps clear the air. Like, especially after you've had a busy day. This is my first nighttime video. So I'm just letting go of everything today. It was such a good day. It was not a bad day at all. But you spend a lot of energy, especially if you have a busy day. You just expel a lot of energy, and I'm just like reclaiming that right now. Because I want to be present and I want to feel good. And my mom actually got me some incense, and it's actually her birthday. So shout out to you. I know you're probably going to be watching this, so these are nice, okay? So appreciate you for that. Okay. Oh, that smells really good. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about self-judgment. Okay, yeah. Every time I drop like the topic of the day, I cringe a little bit because these are hard things to talk about. Like, I don't like to talk about the fact that I judge myself and in turn end up judging others. I hate that. Whenever that comes up in therapy, I always cringe at myself, and I'm just like, why? I literally will ask my therapist, like, why do I do this? There's no answer, obviously, because we have to figure that out, okay, together. But I don't like it. I don't like in that I internalize things and then I end up like reflecting that on other people or projecting that on other people. And I don't think that, I don't think it's something we intentionally do. I think it's something that we all do. And you're either aware of it or you're not. And I feel like as a community, I want all of us to be more aware of our emotions and aware of just the things that we internalize and in turn, like, put on other people or put out into the universe, because we want to grow. We want to be better and do better and heal also. So this is definitely a part of that. And I'm just excited to dive into this topic. So yeah. So I'm just going to start out, saying there is this saying. We've all heard it, you're your own worst critic, right? And it's true. And I think that sometimes we forget that we criticize ourselves so harshly because it becomes a norm. Like our thought processes become a norm for us. So, and for myself, I know that I will jokingly say things about myself that are very harmful to the way that I see myself. And it's perpetuating this idea of myself that I wouldn't think that I, you know, truly believe that I am like lazy or stupid or, there's some things that I passively say about myself, like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. I feel like we all have those moments where we say that verbally or in our head. But you do have to be careful about that, because when you say things like that, it definitely, there's something in your brain that doesn't know that it's a joke. So, and there's also something within you that truly believes that. So, we do have to be careful of that, because even if we somewhat believe that, and we're going to touch on why we might, um but if we do believe that, we don't want to reiterate that to ourselves. Like, we don't want to contribute to those external factors and those external people, society, our family, people in our family who might, talk down on us, and, society who might look at us a certain way. We don't want to play into that. We don't want to play that same game that, other people might be playing. So with ourselves, we do have to be a little bit more gentle, but it usually starts or is ignited by ourselves. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit more about how we want so badly to find external reasons of why we might feel the way that we feel. And this is kind of touchy, because I understand that, for a lot of people, there are people who have traumatized you or talked down to you, or, there are, instances that you can probably point out in your past where, like, you have been abused, or, you know, you have had these traumas that you have lived through, right? What we're talking about today is the internal, not the external. Okay, so it may have started externally, but once that comes within you, like once that external, it's almost like you're getting hit, and hit so much that and now it's coming from within to outside. Okay, so that is how you should think about it. um I made this analogy because, like, I have my blog, okay? I have it linked in the description of my channel, and on this video, I will link it as well. It's called Eucalyptus. But I basically make this analogy about, if you watch any doctor shows, you know that there's always an instance where there is a patient that comes in and they're rushed in, they're in an accident, there's, who, like, there, it's always something like crazy that happens to them, and they're mangled, and they have all these external, like, they come in and they look terrible, like they could have been in a fire, they could have been in a car crash or something, but the doctors see that this is emergent and this person needs, like, care immediately. So they go to fix the external. And obviously, like, some doctor shows, they don't always get it right, but I think most doctors would know to check, like, internal injuries as well. But in some of these shows, it's like they fix the external, or they diagnose the external and say, like, oh, this is what's wrong, this is what we need to get them in surgery for. That's, and so while they're in surgery, something else comes up and they realize that there's an internal issue. And so I make that analogy because I think a lot of the time, we know the most emergent thing, or we think the most emergent thing is diagnosing and seeing what the problem is, that what started this problem with us, In therapy, they'll always ask, you know, when was the first time you felt this way? Okay. Like where did you first hear this about yourself? Like what started this for you? And so once we figure that out, we think that's it. That should heal everything, right? That's wrong. Um, you really have to dig deeper and figure out how you continuously perpetuate that harm on yourself internally. So, going back to the analogy, you know, they fix the skin grafts or the third degree burns or whatever on the external, but then the heart monitor goes off and your blood is, you're leaking blood on the table, and it's not funny, okay, but the analogy is like kind of like extreme, but they realize that, you know, like your lung is punctured or your spleen is punctured. There's something internally that um is making you fade fast. And I think that's how urgent we should treat our internal source, how we speak to ourselves, our thought processes. It's not always going to be I figure out who said X, Y, and Z to me. Oh, I figured it out, so now I can let that go. No, it's ever since that person said that to me, whether it's like your dad talking down to you or your mom telling you you're not good enough, you carry that with you throughout your life. So at this point, when you are talking through these things and you are trying to figure out the source of it, it has been embedded in you at that point. So then you figure that out, and then you go within and you say, oh, how do I reinforce that way of thinking in myself and in my everyday the way that I process, the way that I come to relationships, and the way that I judge myself. So that's when it comes back to self-judgment, because, you know, for example, if you have ever had a mom that tells you, oh, if you don't know how to cook, or if you are lazy, or, you know, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, like no one will ever love you, you will never get a husband, things like that. And I feel like that's kind of, yeah, like you're told these things and you just think that like, oh, I have to be like perfect. And then you start judging yourself based on that. Basically, there is something created within you. Like there's a bar created within you, and you judge yourself based off of that bar that other person sets. So you like they set that. They come in and they say, this is it for you. Walk away, they're gone, and then later on you figure out, oh, that's where that came from. But then you still sit with that. It's still in you because you keep the bar up. You keep that bar up. You hold that bar up, not only to yourself, but to other people. So until you let those ideas go, blow those beliefs out of your head, and we'll talk about what that looks like. But until you do that, you will continue to perpetuate that on yourself, and you will continue to reinforce those ideas on yourself. You'll continue to carry that. You will. There's so many examples that I can give, and I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this, there's so many examples you can think of in your head where you're just like, oh yeah, that person said that to me X, Y, and Z ago, but I still say that to myself. And I think that about other people now, because that is my barometer. That's my barometer for, you know, this behavior, whether it's like marriage or kids, or there's so many societal expectations that are set up that are like what's considered normal, what's not considered normal. And then you judge yourself based off of those things, and then you judge others based off of those things. Like, let's just be honest. But it's like when you want to live your life in a way that is free, we all have free will. We all can, you know, without harming other people, we can all, you know, essentially do what we want to do. There are no rules. There are, you know, no like guidelines to this. Like, we all are, I'm pretty sure we're all doing this for the first time, unless you believe in reincarnation. And I think in reincarnation, like, you come back as like another animal or something. So as a human, like, we're all probably doing this for the first time on earth, for me at least. So you have to have that clearing for everybody, and you have to understand that, like, nobody knows the perfect way to live. So in short, they cannot create parameters for you. Like, you create your own, is it barometer? Am I making up words? Please tell me. But you create your own blueprint, essentially. And it's good to look up to other people. It's good to, like, aspire to be like someone else, you know, but at the end of the day, you can't hold yourself so rigid to someone else's blueprint. Everybody has their own path in life. So once we understand that for ourselves, then I think we'll feel more comfortable not judging other people, because it's like, oh, that is their path. So now we're getting into a solution here, okay? So I did do some research, and please, I'm going to butcher this word down. I'm gonna butcher it so bad. All right. It's called phenomenological empathy. And I think I said that right. I think I ate that a little bit. Okay. Phenomenological empathy. So it basically empowers you to take responsibility for your behavior, rather than locking yourself in a cycle of blame. So if you take the emotion out of the way that you take in your own actions and the way that you take in other people's actions, make it more objective. So for example, instead of putting labels on somebody, putting labels on yourself, let's say first, you see yourself as lazy when you're like sitting on the bed and the remote's on the dresser and you don't want to get up to get it in that moment, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so lazy. I'm so lazy. Like, why am I like this? You know, like, we've all had those moments where we're just like, why am I lazy? I'm so lazy. Or do you just get frustrated with yourself? Like, and that's okay to get frustrated with yourself. It's so fine, because nobody is perfect and we all need to improve. But instead of passively calling yourself and aggressively calling yourself lazy, and I won't say like the rougher side of that, because I'm much harsher on myself than just simply calling myself lazy. Like, I be calling myself out of my name. Like, it's too much. It's so extra. Like, why do I okay, so I'm doing it right now. Anyway. Anyway, instead of doing that, we can meet ourselves where we are in that moment and put action behind our thoughts instead of putting judgment behind our thoughts, which the action is, I might need to, you know, work on the systems that I build around doing things. I might, and it's wordy, I know, but it is like being honest. Like, think about solutions, okay? Let's be solution based in 2026. Let's not point at the problem and point at ourselves and be mad at ourselves. So we do want to be more solution based when we talk to ourselves, when we think to ourselves, when we pass judgment on ourselves. And so externally, it can be the same process where, you know, if somebody is lashing out at work or something, if somebody's having just a breakdown or a meltdown or something, like, it's cool to be empathetic and be like, oh my gosh, like, she is going a little crazy. Like, she, you know, you pass judgment on that as if, you know, you put yourself in that person's shoes, like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with her, you know? If you were coming from that place. But if you were coming from a place of like, action, you would say, she might need some help. Like, I wonder what I could do to help her. because she's not in a good place. It is definitely being more objective, more like just taking all of the emotion out of it. Like, it is more of wanting to be involved in a solution and being action based. Because if you're saying, oh, she needs help, what can I do to help her? Then you might end up saying, hey, are you okay? Like, I don't know what's going on, but I know that you might need some help. Tell me what I can do. Or you could just mind your business and not judge, because everyone has bad days, okay? So yeah, that's phenomenological empathy. That is what that is. And that is a great solution to those super, well, almost rage-based judgmental thoughts that you have on yourself and on other people. But what we've talked about is once you have them on yourself, it's way more easier to judge other people. Way more easier, okay? Now is the time to let those expectations go, because I'm sure in all of our lives we've seen where that holds other generations back. We can't continue that. We can't continue that for ourselves. It's unrealistic, and we can't continue that for the generations to come. So with that, I thank you so much for joining me on this talk. I feel really good about everything that came out, and about everything that what we discussed today. And I kind of like filming at night. So let me know if you like this video. And if you like this video, then hit the like button and also subscribe and comment if you have anything to add to the conversation, or if you want me to talk about anything else specifically. So, all right, y'all have a good night, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.